Hi, my name is Kevin Shelley. I'm with SER401 group number 3 for fall 2019, and this is artifact review number 1. For this, we didn't produce any software deliverables. We've been working on collecting the information for the system itself. So for this one, we'll be showcasing how the system works and the different subsystem components within it. Just as a general overview, there are 4 components to this. Technically, all 4 you can see right here, but I'll go over them. The one on the left is the mobile Android application. That's where the data is collected and then stored locally and then synced with the database. And then on the right you have, right now it's served locally, but on the right you have the website, which has a React.js front end and a Node.js back end, and serves as the platform for collecting and exporting data. Now this website is hosted on an AWS Lambda instance, so it is serverless, and it's connected currently to an Amazon RDS database. We are going to be working on migrating that over to Amazon DynamoDB as an attempt to increase the proficiency of the application and better serve the serverless API part of it. So I'll go ahead and I'll demo the software as it is right now, and then I'll introduce the different deliverables that we plan on having as we go throughout, as well as documentation. So how it starts normally, you start off with 2 people. It can be 1, but normally 2 people, biologists, students, and sometimes professors will go out to the field and they will collect data on different species. They will store this information into a table or onto a database, onto the phone itself, and then that database will be later served onto the web server. The reason it's local is because sometimes there is no internet service where the biologists are, and so they don't have any internet until they get back when they sync it up with the ASU network. So this is the home screen to it. On the left, you have 4 different buttons. To start this, normally you would go starting with collect data at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and hit collect data. There are different projects that they have, and these are just the different areas that they collect data on. And so I'm going to go ahead and select San Pedro for this example. For this information right here, there can be 2 people, the recorder and the handler. The recorder and the handler can be the same person, however normally it's not. The recorder is usually the person who enters the information, and the handler is the one handling the species themselves. I'm going to put my initials for both of them just for informational purposes. I'm going to select site CW1 array of 2. If I selected no captures, then that's just assuming that nothing happened during this session, but I want to showcase that I actually have information. So this is the home page right here for it. It has the session you're on right now, as well as the counts for that current session. As I start adding information to this, you're going to see the numbers begin to go up. So I'm going to go ahead and showcase that. I'm going to hit amphibian right here, just for example. Hit next, and each one of these has its own unique fields. For amphibian, these are the fields that it has right here. As you can see, there are some improvements already can be made. I know that field validation is one of them, as well as making the mandatory fields starred and a little bit more clear that they're mandatory, maybe bolding the labels next to them. But I'll go ahead and just go through this really quick. For each one of these, the species code, species has a genus and a species name which identifies it uniquely. So I'll go ahead and just select each one of these really quick. HD body 10, a mass of 20 grams, and then a sex, let's assume that it's a female. Our buddy's still alive, so we'll keep him there. And then, of course, I love this animal, right? That's the comment. So I'm going to hit next right there. It's going to come up with all the information just to validate it. Another improvement we can make here is having maybe a back button or an edit button so that we have the option of going back. As it stands right now, I have to hit the back button. I'm going to go ahead and just hit next. It's going to validate me. I'm going to hit yes again. And as you can see, it has my information entered for that amphibian. So I'll go ahead and enter in one more, an arthropod. I'm going to click end session because I want to end the session after this one. I'm going to hit next. And bam. So now you have all your information stored into this database. So now I'm out in the field. I just came back. I'm on the ASU network. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to sync my information. So I'm going to hit the sync button. Now, as it stands right now, I have everything entered in already. You have normally when you enter the application, you're prompted to enter in the IP and port of your of the web server. We're going to be working on making that more dynamic so that users who are using this application don't have to know that information. That's one of those more technical information, and it makes our application a lot more secure if we're not just handing out the IP address and port of our web server. So for this case, I'm running it locally. So as you can see, it's a local IP address and a local port. And actually, I'm going to go back really quick because I want to showcase, as it sits right now, the session is not synced. So if I go to unsynced history, you'll see that this session is right here with all the information and the number of animals I have inside of it. So I'll go back, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sync it now. So I'm going to hit this button that says sync now, and then watch it because it's in the middle of the screen. It's going to go pretty quick, but it's only going to sync 2 records, and now it's complete. So as it stands right now, it's complete right there. We would probably want to return it back to the home screen. As you can see, though, it does nicely display that we just synced it. So now we're done with the mobile application. We're going to move on to the web application because now the information is on the web server. So as you can see right here, I'm actually just going to choose project really quick. As you can see right here, this is the web server. This has a React.js front end with a Node.js backend. This account is view only, so as we go through here, you'll see that I can only view, I can't edit anything, but that's just for instructional purposes. I'm going to go ahead and choose the same exact project that I had on the mobile application that we selected before, San Pedro. I'm going to sign in. As you can see here, this is the home landing page. I have the sessions table, which has all the sessions that I've ever done in the past. I'm going to go and click on that. As you can see right here, my session was added. And as you can see, that's the more detailed information about my session. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of there, go back to home. And then it has on the left here all the different species in their own individual tables. One of the more powerful things about this, though, it has the ability to export to CSV. So you can export this information. I usually do it in data forms. And you have the option of selecting all the animals in one. And then you just select this that download CSV, and it'll store all the information into one CSV file. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the terminal view just to give you an idea of how all this works. So on the left, you have the back-end server that accepts requests from the front-end server. Both of these communicate together to perform API calls. So the front end will perform an API call when a button is hit, for example. The left will receive it and return results, and then the front will re-render it. All those different entries that you see right there, the get, the post, the options request, those are all each API calls, and the return statuses are in green and blue. We are, with the serverless API, we plan on optimizing that to be able to better, because with serverless APIs, costs are measured based off of usage. So if we can run down the usage of how much data is transported during these API calls, will really make this application both more efficient and more cost effective. So that's the initial overview of the application and all the different subsystems. In the future, we're going to have everything hosted on AWS. So these future recordings, you'll see everything through AWS, and then that way you get a real feel for how the AWS server works and how the different components fit together in a production setting.